Good evening, and hello. And welcome to tonight's performance featuring Dr. Utako Tanigawa and David Fountain. Tonight's performance is being recorded, and we kindly ask that you turn off all cell phones and electronic devices. Please join us after the concert for a reception of juice and cookies in the parlor. Dr. Tanigawa was born in Osaka, Japan, and she started playing the piano at the age of 3. After coming to the United States, Utako continued her education with multiple degrees, followed by a PhD in information systems. She was a contestant of the Van Cliburn competition last year in the amateur division, and she will be traveling to Warsaw, Poland in September to participate in the Chopin competition. David Fountain is a native of Benton County and now resides in the small community of Little Flock, Arkansas. He earned his Master of Music degree in piano performance from the University of Tulsa, studying with Aldo Manicelli. He is an associate faculty member at the Northwest Arkansas Community College in Bentonville, Arkansas, teaching piano there, and he teaches privately at Shepherd Music School in Rogers. Mr. Fountain is Director of Music at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church in Rogers, where he serves as organist and choral director. If you'd like to donate to the Wesley Series concerts, there is a basket located at the entrance of the sanctuary. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Utako Tanigawa and David Fountain.
Thank you, Pam, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here tonight on this rather warm evening. Dr. Tanigawa asked me to say a few words about the music that we're performing tonight. That may have been a mistake. I consider myself a teacher, and given every opportunity, I am more than happy to take the lecture trail. But I've tried to keep it brief and to the point. So, the first number tonight that you see on your program is by Franz Joseph Haydn, one of the most prominent composers of the classical music era. His long and prolific career was spent mostly in the service of the court of the noble family Esterhazy, just outside Vienna, a few kilometers. Haydn was also a friend of Mozart and a teacher of Ludwig van Beethoven. In fact, Beethoven's first 3 piano sonatas are dedicated to Haydn. Haydn is referred to as the father of the symphonic form. Having written 108 of them, I guess that qualifies him pretty easily. Also the string quartet, which he wrote 83. He helped codify the sonata allegro form used in piano sonatas. The sonata listed on this program, you'll see the strange appellation right behind it, HOB period, in Roman numeral 16 and then number 46. There's no kind of hidden meaning there. That stands for the chronological series established by a 20th century musicologist, Anthony von Hoboken. So the HOB is an abbreviation of his last name. And he undertook the task of cataloging over 750 different pieces by Franz Joseph Haydn. So, prolific composer, beautiful writing in the classic style. Dr. Tanigawa. The next two numbers are by Franz Schubert, another Viennese-based composer. Early 19th century, we're now into the Romantic era of composing, of music. He was known for his musical sense of melody, having written over 600 songs. The German word is Lieder. He also composed symphonies, 9 of them, some unsuccessful operas, and a huge body of chamber music, and a great deal of music for solo piano. Prolific output in spite of his short life. A very popular sort of genre of shorter incidental music, and these are written by all composers. There are no specific form or time meter or key or anything. It's just incidental music, but it was often used under the title of rhapsody, intermezzo, moment musicaux, impromptu, or even prelude. But in spite of its sort of extemporaneous idea of just performing something, a lot of thought and work goes into these shorter pieces. These two works are published under Opus 90. You'll see that OP period. Opus is a Latin word meaning work, and so it was just the chronological order in which they were published, not necessarily the order in which they were composed. And the plural of opus is opera, which I find a little bit interesting. Schubert was a frequent guest and performer at the homes of his friends and patrons and other composers for long musical evenings, soirees, called Schubertiaden, because so much of his music was performed. He was good-naturedly referred to by his friends by the sort of an Austrian term, Schwimmerl, and that literally means little mushroom. In English, or if hopefully in a good-natured way, we would say chubby, or think little Pillsbury doughboy. So, I'll ask that Ms. Tanigawa turn pages for me. This wasn't planned. This wasn't part of the program. I was going to have this all memorized, so. But I think I have a little severe case of premature senility, so. Ludwig van Beethoven, German-born composer, crucial force in the transition from the classic era of music into the Romantic period of music in the history of Western civilization. Moving it from the stylized, polished, rather simplified, sort of architecturally perfect classic music into the more dramatic and emotional and expanded forms of the Romantic era. Beethoven's, he moved to Vienna from Germany in his early 20s. In the early days, his music was both idolized and vilified, so he had a rough start. But his hearing began to deteriorate even as early as the age of 26, continued to progressively get worse until his death. This did not deter him from writing the 9 great symphonies, 32 piano sonatas, 16 string quartets, and multitude other works. His life is loosely divided into 3 periods: the early period until about 1802, the middle period 1802 to 1813. This sonata is from the middle period, and the later period 1813 until his death. This is called the Waldstein piano. It belongs to this middle period, sometimes referred to as the heroic period. Dates from 1804. This Count Ferdinand von Waldstein was a lifelong friend of Beethoven. Sometimes you will hear it referred to by the Italian title of L'Aurora, and that simply means the dawn, because someone thought that the beginning of the 3rd movement reminded them of daybreak. I'm not sure that Beethoven ever heard this term applied to his music. If he did, L'Aurora, if he did, he would not like it, I'm sure of that. The music is much more than that. The sonata is considered to be one of the most technically challenging of his keyboard compositions. The noted German composer, conductor, pianist and composer Hans von Bülow said in rather typically romantic, hyperbolic style that the keyboard of Johann Sebastian Bach, particularly the Well-Tempered Clavier Books 1 and 2, were the Old Testament of keyboard music, and Beethoven's piano sonatas he referred to as the New Testament of keyboard music. Well, that I don't know about the validity of that, but he certainly is a great pillar of our musical heritage. So the first movement from the Waldstein Piano Sonata. can relax now. We're going to take about an 8 to 10 minute intermission, and the second half will be much more easy for you, so come back. All right, thank you for staying, and we're ready to begin the second part. I would like to take 1 minute to introduce to you Dr. Tanigawa's mother and sister. They are from Japan. If you would please stand. They are here tonight all the way from Japan. And her daughter, Kara, you're going to Loyola, is that right? In New Orleans, okay. All right, we're about ready to start the second half, and the first thing on the program is a short piece by Robert Schumann. He's yet another German composer who moved to Vienna, studied to be a concert pianist. An accident or perhaps surgery damaged the fourth finger on his right hand so severely he had to give up all ideas of concert careers, but so he turned to composing. There are 4 symphonies, other orchestral works, and string ensembles and songs that's in his that he composed. Robert did have the great good fortune to marry Clara Wieck. She was also a concert pianist. Robert studied with her father, piano with her father for a time. She not only was a concert pianist, she bore him 8 children and ran the household. Unfortunately, 4 of the children died early, but continued to concertize years after Robert's passing. Robert was not only an influential composer, but also a writer. He started and was contributing author to a musical journal called Die Neue Zeitschrift für Musik. A little more about that in a minute. He was one of the early established composers to recognize the genius of Frédéric Chopin. The young Johannes Brahms became friends with Robert and Clara and remained so until the end of his life. Talking about incidental music, the name of this piece falls under a set of 8 pieces called Novelletten, which is the German term for novelty. This is the first of the set. They can be used together as a program or individually, again, incidental music. In Robert's writing, he was a very complex man. And so he had the idea of establishing a fictional Davidsbündler. This is the League of David, or the gang, David's gang. And it's a sort of a symbolic troupe of true musicians who he led out into battle against the banal art and music of his time. In this band, or in this league, there are 3 characters that keep cropping up. One of them is Florestan, and he's the young, brash, heroic, brave, fierce fighter, very sure of himself. The second is named Eusebius, and he's the poet, the artist, the maker of melody. And then the third is Meister Raro, which means rare. And he is the thoughtful, philosophical, deliberate one who sort of coordinates and calms everybody down. So in this short piece, listen for these 3 characters to appear. You'll hear the introduction of Florestan, the bold, brash chords. It shifts, it doesn't transition, it just shifts immediately to the melodic strains of Eusebius, and that gives way to the more studied tones of Master Raro, and then goes back to Florestan and Eusebius back and forth together. Unfortunately, Roberts had a very poor nervous system, and towards the end of his life had complete breakdown, and at his own decision resided at a mental asylum for the last 2 years of his life, which was very, very sad. But his music still stands as a great monument to the creative artistry of this 19th century musician. Not what they do with music. Frédéric Chopin, born in Poland, immigrated to Paris after some political turbulence in that country. The vast majority of his compositions are for solo piano. He did write 2 piano concertos, the first at the age of 19, which is perhaps my favorite. He wrote a few chamber pieces and songs with Polish words. Some of his innovations were he invented the instrumental ballade for the piano, made major innovations to the sonata form, the nocturnes, the etudes, preludes, scherzos, and impromptus. You'll hear tonight an impromptu, not an impromptu, I beg your pardon. You're playing a waltz and a polonaise, beg your pardon. His music is often technically demanding, with great emphasis on musical nuance and expressive depth, and you will hear that in these works tonight. There are 3 dance forms that he utilized most often. The waltz, there are 20 of those he wrote, mazurkas, 59, and polonaise, there are 18. Dr. Tanigawa will perform one of the waltzes. This lovely one is in C-sharp minor with typical 3/4 time, with themes repeated. The polonaise is a so-called stylized dance form, which is supposedly originated in Poland, also in 3/4 time, but frequently there's a double 16th note leading into the second beat, which frequently will put the emphasis on the second beat rather than the first, so you'll hear some of that. The polonaise is much more dramatic and quite a bit more challenging than the waltz. Both beautiful pieces, both lovely short program pieces. I'm sure you will enjoy them. lovely pieces. I love both those. Claude Debussy, French composer, writing during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, during the period we refer to as Impressionistic style. This term refers also to art and literature of that period. Debussy himself did not care for the term Impressionism when it applied to his music. At the time, in French literary circles, the style of the period was known as symbolism. This movement directly influenced and inspired Debussy, both as a composer and as a cultural participant. The French music of this time, a lot of it was a reaction and an evolution against the heavy German romanticism that had preceded it, the Sturm und Drang, the storms and stresses that were found in the heavy romantic music of the period, towards a lighter, more sensory, more sensory composers and components in the music. They avoided writing pieces that stayed within one key or related key boundaries. By means of, they used a lot of polytonality, whole tone scales, pentatonic scales, parallel chords, a lot of open chords, quite new for the time. We're used to hearing them now all the time. The piece I'm playing tonight is from a set. The title is Estampes pour le piano. Estampe is an imprinting of artwork. So the music here reflects sort of an imprinting of a scene or an event, a recollection of an experience in musical terms. These three pieces, the first is entitled Pagodas, and it stays primarily in the pentatonic scale, evoking that exotic Far East feel in the music, parallel open chords, blurred harmonics. The second is La Soirée dans Grenade, which is an evening in Granada, portrays an evening in Spain, lovely sunsets, the heady aromas, guitars strumming in the background. And the third piece, which I will play tonight, is called Jardin sous la pluie. This means, and perhaps this was wistful thinking on my part tonight, gardens in the rain. Sometimes it's soft raindrops, quiet and restful, and sometimes more of a deluge. I hadn't planned it this way, but Dr. Tanigawa has acted as my page turner. Good thing, too. That was exciting. Always glad to get through that piece. The last on the program is perhaps the loveliest. Franz Liszt, Hungarian composer, larger than life, debatably the most impressive and romantic figure in all of music history. His professional career spanned the era of music romanticism, and he was its chief proponent. A virtuoso pianist, he also composed symphonic tone poems, program music, works for the organ, hundreds of transcriptions, all demanding virtuosic displays and pyrotechniques. As a young man, he was quite the matinee idol, and the young ladies would swarm to his concerts and swoon at his music, and a really handsome fella. And he was the one that popularized having the piano, the grand piano, set this way so that his very handsome profile would be seen. So any resemblance, well, no. His piano compositions are among the most technically demanding in all of piano literature, but yet some of his melodies are the most enduring. A great example of this is the etude that Miss Tanigawa will play tonight. This is the last in a set of 3 concert etudes. The title of this is Un Sospiro, The Sigh, an unforgettably beautiful rising melody that floats above a complex undulation of arpeggios and chords till the final quiet ending. In fact, Liszt in his later life became very reflective and took monastic orders and lived to be a ripe old age and died happy. Okay, Un Sospiro. Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. There is a reception, exit to the left to go to the guest hall, and we'll see you there in a few minutes. Very good.
Again, thank you very much, and then please go to have some refreshment. Next month, at the end of August, we are going to have a Chopin special concert, so please come back. Thank you.